and he'll be on a major attack mission.
I don't know why he's gone so early. Would have conserved the fuel all the way down to the last corner, but he got a good gap.
I reckon he just wants air around him at the moment.
Ought to run right down to the last corner then. He must be better off for fuel than we think.
Well, flags of all colours and denominations are waving. This is going to be a big finish regardless of who you're barracking for. McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Courtney, Whincup is the order at the moment. We've got 9 laps remaining in this great race. 1.1 seconds, so a pretty decent restart for McLaughlin. To Mark's point, does that indicate that he doesn't have to worry about it? And would suggest that that is the situation.
Ryan Story was saying before the safety car that with a wink and a nod that they might get home, and that was massive conservation. The safety car has given them a little cushion. Is it enough? Still don't know. Van Gisbergen's in a similar mode. The guy in 4th, Jamie Whincup, no problem at all. He's topped up to make it home. He'll be sprinting.
And I don't think I'm giving away too much now, but Ryan did say back then, he actually said to me, 2 litres left in the pot in that car. Now, everything's changed. That's based on him conserving fuel. Now he's got those Red Bull Holdens behind him, pushing him along. Can he still drive at 4.25 a lap? I doubt it.
Yeah, that's
question,
right.
isn't it?
Yeah. But so what you've got to do now is do all the things around releasing the throttle at high speed, minimise the blips, minimise those blips on the down changes. Organise yourself, if you can, to make upshifts earlier in the rev range. Use less fuel in all the straight line bits, but drive the car like qualifying laps across the top of the hill, because you have to just smash the car, drive it where you can use it up. Drive it as hard as you possibly can across the top. Get as much from the car every lap you can use it where you don't use fuel.
Here we go. Manoeuvres going on at the back of the pack. But they've got the temps and pressures back up to normal. Coulthard, Reynolds and Winterbottom all getting together at the final corner. The margin's 3/4 of a second between McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen. Fabian up the inside here of Frosty. James Courtney's hanging on to 3rd at the moment.
You sure it's 38?
There's still chat.
Yeah, Marty, sure.
There's still chat about fuel. Courtney covering on the run up towards the right-hander. And they're questioning and cross-checking fuel.
Remember, we said before, Courtney should be fine. He's got that massive vibration going from hitting the fence, but they should be able to make it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to give this up. This is a podium at Australia's biggest race. So he won't just let Whincup go by. And he's got good pace. He's actually throwing the car around and using it all up. James Courtney, 8 laps remaining. There's Scott McLaughlin's family looking on pensively in the back of the garage, because they know the stress and the strain around this. This young man who's won everything has been a remarkable competitor over the last few years. Extremely talented, super gifted in qualifying, has done some of the best laps we've ever seen of this place in particular, but he's never won this race, nor has the man behind him. These 2 superstar Kiwis have never won Bathurst.
His fiancée and his sister, Carly and Samantha, are watching from the garage. This is full-blown nail-biter to the end. Rick Kelly's animated on the radio at the moment as well. So McLaughlin has got exactly 0.6 of a second over Van Gisbergen. Jamie thought about it, but James Courtney, with a buckled right rear rim, is still clinging to 3rd place at the moment. David Reynolds just made a spot in the background. And 3/4 of a second.
Legend.
That's Grant McPherson hit your number. You're the fastest car, which he was. And the second fastest car was McLaughlin. Third fastest car was Whincup, and Courtney was the fourth fastest car with 7 laps remaining.
The psychology of it was the fastest car by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
A 6.2 to a 6.23.
So
he's just trying to pump the driver.
there is nothing in this at the moment. Where are they all at? We take our best guess. Very close was the message that was just given to Scott McLaughlin. He might be okay with this, but it's still a chunk of racing to come.
Van Gisbergen's 2/10 faster in the first sector. So he's using it up. He's coming at him. So don't you worry, Van Gisbergen is going to attack if he can. Now we know Van Gisbergen's prime spot is right there. So what he's got to do is come off the dipper and get himself in a position to fire down the inside of car 17, coming on to the straight. Marco?
This is the pressure that he doesn't want, Mark, because we talked earlier, he was at 4.3 litres per lap. Now he's gone back up to 4.6, mate. Not good, under pressure.
Under big pressure, but they're saying you're okay. But you're only okay at that moment. A moment later, you could be out of the window, and that's what you're suggesting, and that's what Van Gisbergen's doing to him at the moment. And Shane's got his own big game to play. He had a potential victory robbed in 2014. This means a lot to him. It might deliver another victory at Mount Panorama to Garth Tander. These guys are absolutely in the game. On the podium last year for McLaughlin. Never a victory for either of the two of them, first and second, nor for that matter James Courtney. But for Whincup, he has done it. 6 to go. 3/4 of a second. Holding station on the run up the hill. What a day.
6.5 plays 6.39 on that lap. Courtney did the same time, a 6.5. Whincup with a 6.5. So Van Gisbergen was the fastest of that group. The fastest car on the track is Mostert by a mile. He just broke the lap record with a 5.18.
It's a pained look on Jack Perkins' face. Grant McPherson in the garage. Garth Tander in the garage. Leanne Tander behind.
And I reckon being behind Scott McLaughlin is doing the deed for Shane Van Gisbergen. I just spoke to Garth Tander. Is he getting his numbers? He said, we are getting better than what we needed. So they are very, very confident. I think it's because of the airflow that's coming off that the Mustang in front is really assisting the 97.
Thanks, Murph. The interesting thing is that Jamie's not been able to put anything in the way of a move on Courtney at this stage. He's close, but not quite close enough, is he? So the span from first to fourth is 2 seconds, as if that's a big chunk of time, but in this motor race, it's turning out to be the case. Down the straight again. We're winding this thing down. Shadows right across the racetrack now, and it's fast. Top Gear playing for the grand prize in Australian motorsport. Mostert new lap record, McLaughlin race leader and championship leader. Half a second is the margin. 4 hardheads. They will not go down easily, these guys. They will fight until there is nothing left to fight with.
Whincup closer to Courtney in the braking area now for turn 23 for the final corner, Murray's corner. Scott's making beautiful exits. One of the things about conserving fuel is making sure that when you do go onto the throttle that you've got the car trajectory as tight and as properly placed in terms of track position as you can. So when you apply it, it's nice and progressive.
There's a little over 30 kilometres to go in this 1,000 kilometre contest. 5 laps remain. We're on board with McLaughlin. Second gear, turn 2.
Early
To third. Nobody dare breathe in any of those garages. Shell V Power Racing, Walkinshaw Andretti United, Red Bull Holden Racing Team in sequence in those boxes. Everything to play for. Still half a second between McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen. Peak motor racing at its finest. Maximum attack. Use every millimetre. Massively flowing the car everywhere you can to try and do what you can with what you've got. but they are all maxed out at the moment. There are the questions around fuel. There's the question mark about what happened earlier with Coulthard. There'll be a lot of feeling and discussion about a lot of the stuff that's gone on today. But in the end, first and second in the championship are duking it out for first and second in the big race.
Mostert just did a 4.76. Fastest racing lap ever of this place for a supercar.
Last year, the lap record was a 2 minutes 6.1. That's a monstrous gain of speed year on year.
And when you look at those cars across the top, Neil, they have got nothing to spare. Remember that, as that graphic says, the last time that DJR Team Penske or the DJR Team won was with Johnson and Bow in 1994. So a lot of history. A milestone day with Roger Penske in attendance.
Who this morning won Petit Le Mans on the other side of the planet. And correction, he didn't win the race, he won the championship, I beg your pardon, in what's been a very big year. 0.47 of a second, McLaughlin over Van Gisbergen. Unbelievably tight at the top.
John, man, thanks for hitting the number. Keep it up, 4 more laps.
They're all doing the same number. 6.3 for McLaughlin, 6.3 for Van Gisbergen, 6.2 for Courtney, 6.3 for Whincup. Grant McPherson, if you see a chance, take it. Indy 500 victory this year for Roger Penske. IndyCar Series victory. He's alongside Kay Hart, the CEO of Australia, Ford New Zealand, and Ford Australia, and Ford New Zealand. So she's got a lot to play for here in terms of investment with what they've done with their program this year. Ford came back into the sport and took a gamble with the Mustang.
Van Gisbergen just had a big moment going into the cutting that time. He ran wide on the way in. He was right out sideways. That's that gap that's almost gone out to 1 second. He had a massive mistake on the way in. He saved it, but he lost a lot of ground.
Span across the top 4 is still sitting at just over 2 seconds. Reynolds, after one of the toughest weekends they've had for a long time, is still sitting in 5th. That's a decent points haul potentially for him.
Whincup's lost ground to Courtney. So James Courtney's doing a remarkable job with that damaged car. We saw it hit the fence. The wheels buckled. It'll be vibrating all the way down the straight, but his pace is remarkable compared to Whincup, who came in for that little splash and dash.
Do they have enough fuel in car 17 for Scott McLaughlin to win this race? Can Shane Van Gisbergen shake off his demons? It's been snatched. We've got Heimgartner in the fence.
Safety car.
This changes everything once again.
Safety car boards in
4 laps remaining. It's about to become 3. It could finish under. It could get him home.
It'll get him home.
Well, it might even finish under the safety car, depending on how long it's going to take to actually retrieve that car.
It's going to.
What a tragedy for Heimgartner.
Rejoicing.
This might deliver the victory to Scott McLaughlin. They've got 3 laps remaining. And another safety car intervention on a bizarre day at Mount Panorama.
So, but don't count your chickens, because what you've got to do now is make sure you don't get dirty stuff on the tyres. At the restart, so maximum save now and then use full fuel for the last 3 laps if they clear this quickly. But don't get dirt on the tyres. Make sure there's no debris. Don't follow that car so closely, because you want to know where all the dirt is. Get back out on the race line and make sure there's no rubber and debris on those tyres for the restart. That's in heavily. That's at Forest Selbo.
Here's the replay of what happened. Andre Heimgartner in the Nissan.
Oh, hit the inside fence, I think, by the look of that.
Which doesn't happen terribly often up there. Here is the replay. Let's listen. Yep. Absolutely clobbered it. Yeah. Oh, Ben Croak. Can't believe what he's seeing. Nobody can believe what they've been seeing today. Scott's sister, Ryan Walkinshaw.
Well, he'll be happy too, because for Courtney's car that's wounded, that should be a happy look.
His mum died.
I feel sorry for this young man. He's driven really well all weekend, he and his teammate Bryce Forward. He did a 3 through the week. He's been the fastest Nissan on regular occasion. Yeah, just keep your fingers crossed, because this is a mad game. This is not over, but it's certainly given him a reprieve. If he saves in this safety car period, he'll be allowed to use full fuel.
Will they get the car clear? Will they get back to race speed? He's seen it all here, haven't you, CL?
He certainly has.
We've all seen it all here. It's just it's unbelievable. 6 hours and 18 minutes of racing. Scenes over the top of the hill. Everybody is stayed to the man and woman, glued to the fences. A big day of entertainment. McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Courtney, Whincup, Reynolds, Coulthard, Winterbottom, Pye, Kelly, Holdsworth, the top 10. I started out with a day of reasonably logical tracking of what's going on. About 2 hours ago, that went out the window.
I saw you abandon that. There was no more updating on the computer.
I've gone back to analog, whatever I can remember will be it.
Very funny.
Well, it took a little while for all that to manifest too, because we talked about that at the top of the day together, and we talked about it during the week, about the increased pace, the higher risk, no Sandown. Would all those things become factors? And I started to doubt myself, and then from about lap 100, which is often where it starts to unfold, Zach Brown.
Yeah.
And Ryan Walkinshaw, Michael Andretti. Zach picked a good weekend to dodge a Formula One race. There's a typhoon in Japan. And here's the garage at the Red Bull Holden Racing Team. So at the moment, Shell V-Power Racing, Dick Johnson Team Penske have got an opportunity to win this race. Red Bull Holden Racing Team, Shane Van Gisbergen is second. Walkinshaw, Andretti, United, James Courtney in the Mobil car in third. Those three and others potentially up to win this motor race, and you do not know what might unfold here if they go back to green racing, because there'll be dive bombing.
We're hearing that car's going to try to be dragged out and put it over on the dead side of the road, over on the non-active side of the road, coming onto the straight. So if they drag that out and put it over there on your right, which is on the driver's left coming onto the straight, then we should at least get a lap to commence this race and finish 161 laps of this amazing motor race. It just never fails to deliver, this place.
We're picking up the pace with the Vodafone safety car, because the cars are getting hot at such low speed, so they're going back to 80 kilometres an hour now that they're clear of the incident area.
I feel sorry for young James Golding, who was scheduled under that scenario to not save fuel and do a good job. Now, I have to be careful again with the coolant running out, the glycol, and that's what they're going to do. That's very clever. If race management have organised that, to put it over there in behind the Ford Ranger Raptor recovery vehicle, park it over there on the non-active side of the road, and let's get on with life. Give it a sweep up.
Got a feel for not only Andre Heimgartner, but Todd Kelly down there. They've put a huge amount of energy into that program with the Nissan over a long period of time. And they were on for a really strong result, and that's just evaporated. We talked earlier in the weekend about the fact that even though it's in your mind every lap, you really do end up tagging the wall. But the problem for him there is he's right behind another car, so it's unsighted. Can't see the apex. When they cross the finish line here, 3 becomes 2. Laps to go.
So I would think what they'll do is let this car come on to the start-finish straight. They'll turn the lights off and effectively had 1 racing lap to go. Now, what does Van Gisbergen do? This will be the most important restart of Scott McLaughlin's life, because if there's a more aggressive bloke in the field, bar none, there's no one like Van Gisbergen.
Alex Premer, Dick Johnson, Jill Johnson, Kay Hart, Roger Penske. In the background there is Tony Jordan from Ford as well. There's a heap of people who will dare not to blink, and it is not done. If they get 1 green lap here, if you had to pick a number out of the hat that you didn't want behind you at this restart,
97.
pick 97.
Totally, absolutely. And they've got history. Remember, McLaughlin last year at Pukekohe was parked in the Parc Ferme area where Van Gisbergen drove up and parked the car alongside in the podium area and didn't let him out. They've got history. They're ripping young men. They're on for their first win at Bathurst. They're in their respective factory colours. It's Ford versus Holden. The rivalry is as good as you'll ever see. And they will have one lap to win Australia's biggest motor race. One lap. Restart this lap.
So here we go. So at Oil, it's going to boil down at 6:15 on a Sunday afternoon, the second weekend of October, to 6,213 metres of car racing is going to determine the outcome here. Ryan Walkinshaw, the famous name at this location. His dad raced here. They've had victory here, that family. Their man is out there, James Courtney. He leaves the team at the end of the year for a new home. There was an emotional decision to part ways, and he might be about to deliver a pretty big prize to them. What an incredible story. And it's a horror story because the tyres have cooled out. The pressures have dropped. The brakes have cooled out. But you've got to try and turn something on now that's a miracle. Brake late, lean on those tyres, pick up the throttle, defend, race, watch out for junk on the road.
This is exactly right, Crompo. And one of the things, how's your sweaty palms going? I love your saying, hold your breath, Australia, because this is one for 23 corners that you're going to have to live and ride this with Scott McLaughlin, trying to keep the most aggressive Kiwi. Shane Van Gisbergen, lights out. He's going to drive away in the safety car. The Vodafone safety car will exit proceedings. The gamesmanship now is critical. What's he do? How's he play it? I'd run right down to the last corner, minimise my risk, turn hard left and get on the throttle. Make it slow.
Carly's not coping. None of us are.
Minimise the risk. Minimise the risk at the start. Don't let Van Gisbergen up the inside.
Here we go. They're creeping down to the bottom of the hill for the second last time. Control of the field is now held by Scott McLaughlin as the Vodafone safety car peels off. Their line astern. The most important restart of his career. Just in front of one of the biggest aggressors in the field, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's all but putting his signature on the rear bumper. McLaughlin fires it up, and away they go, and Shane runs with him. They understand the importance of this. We have got one lap to go at Mount Panorama. The 2019 Great Race is going to be decided by one bizarre lap of racing. Green, green, green as we get stuck back into it. It's McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen and Courtney. They get through the first corner. One down, 22 to go.
Minimise the risk, warm the tyres up at Mountain Straight, weave the car around, ensure that you've got a grip feel. Tyre temp, tyre temp, tyre temp, that's exactly right. He's being told to get those tyres up to temp. Oh, he's thrown it in there. Van Gisbergen's arrived at warp speed into there.
They're driving the wheels off them, but the cars are not ready for it. Those tyres will have lost some temp. They've lost some pressure. They'll be a handful to drive. They climb out of the cutting for the last time in second to third gear, over the top of the hill for the blind approach. And this is where we've seen trouble today. There's rubbish on the road everywhere. The fans have gone crazy at the top of the hill. What an off-the-scale car race. McLaughlin still leading with half a lap to go. McLaughlin over Van Gisbergen. Oh, he just about threw the thing away like a speedway car over the top. Van Gisbergen is barely clutching this thing.
Minimise the risk here now. This is Van Gisbergen's spot, but he's too far back. Just get it stopped. Get it stopped. Pull it up and make the apex and you're home free. Come out of here without a mistake and you're there.
He's almost done it. He's on to Conrod Straight for the last time. McLaughlin is in good shape, but now he cannot afford a mistake at the bottom, and we've seen them today. He's got the meters in hand. The I Can Quit chopper gives us the perfect view. He thinks about where he's going to brake. What's he got left in store as he gets to the most critical corner in the country, off the back of the fastest corner in the country. What a year for Team Penske. An Indy 500 win for Simon Pagenaud. An IndyCar Championship for Newgarden. Roger Penske's here to add something very big, another milestone. 26-year-old Kiwi Scott McLaughlin wins the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 of 2019.
Oh, he's in tears. He's in tears. This is a life-changing moment for this young Kiwi. It's his dad and his mum. Oh my God, have a look at the reaction of Croppo. You've got a tear in your eye. How is that? He drove beautifully.
They got there just by 0.68 of a second. It's his 8 for 10. It's the culmination of a lifelong dream. And Scott McLaughlin and Alex Premer, Shell V-Power Racing, have won the 2019 Great Race.
Dick Johnson, congratulations. You've just won Bathurst.